Hi guys, my name's Dan Ballard, pro travel and landscape photographer. Out here this morning, testing out the new Mavic Pro 2. We're gonna put it up against the Inspire 2 with the Zenmuse X7 and also with the Phantom 4 Pro and also a little bit with the old Mavic Pro. Really wanting to test these cameras out against each other in terms of serious landscape photography. Really want to test the sensors, really want to see how far I can push them, really want to see how they all handle low light. Out here today with my lovely partner Nicole and my good friend Kurt. Kurt's going to be flying the Phantom 4 Pro, Nicole's going to be on the Mavic Pro 2, and I'm going to be flying the Inspire 2 with the X7. So we're going to get out there and see what we find. Alright, so we've spent quite a bit of time testing this thing out at this point. A lot of time flying this on its own, quite a bit of time putting it against the original Mavic, against the Phantom 4 Pro, and then of course against the Inspire 2 with the X7. Really have a pretty good handle on the files now. We've been pretty lucky, we've gotten a lot of good light, a lot of high contrast situations, a lot of kind of conditions that are exactly the type of conditions that I wanted to test. So I really feel pretty good about this. We've really worked hard to keep settings pretty similar, and I've went back and spent a lot of time examining the files side by side, looking at all of these in comparison with each other at 100%, and really able to kind of tell and dig in and see the differences and see just how the Mavic Pro 2 performs. So, not surprisingly, comparing this with the original Mavic Pro, pretty much hands down, no problem. Definitely the Mavic Pro 2 has a really big advantage in terms of image quality. Of course, the drone is just better overall. The sensors, it flies better. I mean, man, it's a sweet little drone, guys. It really flies well, and it's just a blast to fly with. So, image quality wise as well, definitely beats the original Mavic Pro. Okay, now we move on to the Inspire 2 with the X7, and also not surprisingly, the Inspire 2 definitely beats the Mavic Pro 2. Really not much comparison there. When it comes to pushing files and dynamic range and just really being able to process like normal, Inspire has a big advantage. A lot of people online are saying that this thing has 14 stops of dynamic range, and they're confusing the the JPEG HDR mode that produces a result of 14 stops, they're claiming. As far as just the original RAW file, however, it's about 12 stops. The Inspire has right at 14, 13.9, so definitely a pretty big difference there. Okay, now this is the real kind of test, and this is what I'm sure most of you guys are interested in, the Mavic Pro 2 versus the Phantom 4 Pro. Now I was definitely expecting, and planning on the Mavic Pro 2 to beat the Phantom 4. Maybe not by much, but I really thought that it was going to beat it. A newer technology, same size sensor, of course a better Hasselblad lens. So I really was thinking this thing was going to outdo the Phantom 4 Pro. As it turns out, that's really not the case. I was really surprised, but again, a lot of testing, trying these two side by side, exact same shooting conditions, and whenever you're in a situation where you're pushing the sensor a little bit, where you're shooting dark to keep the highlights from blowing out, and you've got to really, pull out the shadows and processing, the Phantom 4 Pro definitely beats out the Mavic Pro 2. It's not much of a competition really even. As soon as you start pushing these files, man, the Mavic Pro 2, it does a pretty good job. I mean, really, it's not bad at all. It's very usable. But when you start pushing those files, you really start to see these files from the Mavic Pro 2 start to fall apart. It kind of has this very thin, very stretched type thing going on. So it's a pretty substantial difference in other ways too. It seems like the Mavic Pro 2 has more chromatic abrasion. It's a little bit softer, it seems, on the edges. I mean, just overall, and then also just the processing itself. I feel like the Mavic Pro 2 files are a little bit difficult to process. Now, that's not to say that this thing isn't really good. I'm really pretty impressed with it. It really does produce pretty good, files. If you're doing serious landscape photography and you need something small and light, I'm still going to recommend this. By all means, I'm keeping it. I'm planning on using it alongside my Inspire 2. Whenever I'm backpacking, when I'm going on a long, tough trip, I'll definitely take this thing for the size, for being so small and so portable. Absolutely, it's going to be great. You're really going to be able to get some great images from it, no doubt about it. But if you already have a Phantom 4 Pro, if you're really into photography, if you want to be able to shoot in some conditions, that are, again, serious landscape photography, meaning situations where you have a lot of dynamic range and you really have to push and you want to be able to process how you want to be able to, if you're in that situation, then, man, you may want to stick with your Phantom 4 Pro. Also, just keeping in mind, this thing is not cheap. If you go with the Mavic 2 with the Fly More combo, plus get an extra battery, which that gives you 4 total batteries, I feel like that's the number you need. You're talking $1,800 here. So $1,800, and you're not necessarily getting the image quality the Phantom 4 Pro has, if the size isn't just 100%, absolutely all important to you. Probably, in my opinion, going to be better off sticking with the Phantom 4 Pro if you already have it. Now, if you have the original Mavic, if you're all about traveling, if the size is really important to you, which that's a big thing for me, especially with my main camera setup, then the Mavic Pro 2 is going to be a pretty good rig for you. It really does do a pretty good job. I'm pretty happy overall with the image quality, again, considering how small it is. Originally, I was hoping this was going to be kind of like the image quality is great regardless of size. That's not quite the case, but it is really solid for the size. Definitely recommend it overall.